If you are wondering, Lindsay, where the hell are you? I'm in my RV. We have some lighting issues going on in the spot that I actually want to record my podcast in. So I'm going to get comfy with you guys because my back. I've been up since 4 a.m. Okay. I want you guys to feel like you could just wake up and listen to my podcast or watch my podcast on whatever platform and be like, yeah, you know what? I'm like her. She's like me. No makeup, hair thrown up in a bun. Haven't even brushed my teeth yet. I'm going to be quite honest because I'm still drinking my coffee. Okay. I'm still drinking my coffee. Don't judge me. I'm going to brush my teeth after this and actually get ready for the day. But I've been up since 4 a.m. because I took my husband to the airport for a bachelor party. Yep. He's going to St. Louis. One of his friends is getting married in August, and he is on his way right now to St. Louis. And his lovely, beautiful, amazing, awesome wife got up at 4 a.m. after working a shift and took his ass there. So I said, you know what? What better thing to do 6 a.m. It's today's Saturday, today's Friday, on a Friday morning than make my solo podcast episode. So welcome to Friends and Enemas, friends. I hope that you've been around for a little bit. I don't know what episode number this is, but I do know that my first episode is called Go Lick Rocks. And if you haven't listened to that, you should, because listen to the difference in this audio quality all caps. Okay. This episode is about how and why I became a nurse, because I am asked that on a daily basis. And I figured, let's just put it out there in the open for everyone to hear and see. So anyway, this week's episode, how and why I became a nurse. I wanted to start off with nursing is my plan B. Always has been, always will be. I did not grow up wanting to be a nurse, and I say that adamantly because I fully believe that we should feel seen and heard, and a lot of us grew up knowing what we wanted to be when we grew up, right? A lot of us were 2 years old and we're like, mommy, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a nurse. That was not me. No, it wasn't me. I started modeling and acting when I was 14 years old. Absolutely fell in love with the entertainment industry at that age. I have been to New York. I have been to Dallas. I have been to Los Angeles. I have done a lot with my modeling career. But when I was 19 years old and trying to figure out what the next step was, I still wanted to go to college. I still wanted to have a good backup plan because the entertainment industry is so hard to be successful in and to have reoccurring monies. So I didn't want to be a broke ass bitch, let's be honest, while I was pursuing my dreams. So I started off with, I want to be a vet. Since I was little, I loved animals. I wanted to be a veterinarian. I said it from the day I could freaking walk, I think. Walk, talk, maybe. And I started working for a vet in right after high school. And I was a pre-vet major for almost 4 years. Let me tell you, that's one of the hardest careers. There's a reason, trigger warning, there's a reason it's one of the highest suicide rates in careers. Did you know that veterinarians are top of the list when it comes to suicide? There's a lot on their heart, on their mind, or on their soul. They're in debt to people, they're in debt to these animals, and they're in debt financially. I had the vet I worked for set me down and was like, what the hell are you doing? You love animals, go do it. Go love your animals in some other way, shape, or form. Don't do this. And you know, I am not one of those people that's like just blindly listen to other people when they say stuff like that. But I felt what she was saying. She was in 6 figures of debt with her practice, with school still, and was depressed AF. I said, you know what? I have not truly been feeling this anyway. And it sucked because it really put me at this place. I had been saying I wanted to be a vet since I was like, since I could talk. I like could not fathom how I could not be a vet, but I realized what she was saying I was already feeling. So I decided to take a step back from that. I still wanted to model, I still wanted to act, but I was like, how can I get there? How can I get to that place of modeling and acting without waiting tables? I know, light bulb moment, geology. Let's switch to a geology major. What the fuck was I thinking? I don't know. I don't know. Switched to a geology major. Literally in the first semester, one of my first classes in lab, they passed around this fucking rock and told us to lick it. It was the same damn rock. This was pre-COVID. Pass this rock around, lick it. Does it taste like salt? My classmates were doing this. We're licking the damn rock. I said, you know what? I'm going to pass this on. That's not for me. This isn't for me. Hence why my first episode is Go Lick Rocks. That was the moment I was like, you better get your life together, girl. Instead of go touch grass, go lick rocks. Because I couldn't fathom licking a rock just to decide if it had salt. What? Anyway, literally walked out of that class, went to my little counselor at school. I can't think of what they're called, but started bawling to her. Literally thinking she was a therapist and telling her, what am I going to do with my life? And she was like, Lindsay, I don't know. I don't know what you want to do. Doing some typing on her computer and moved on to, what about dental hygiene? I was like, you know what? My mom told me about dental hygienists. They make good money. I think I want to do that. Started the process for that. Super right turn. Okay. Skirt. Literally didn't even make it to the first class before I had a mental breakdown. In college, didn't know what I was doing, came back around and was like, I don't know what to do. At this point, I had already met my husband. I was in I had a roadblock. I did not know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to model. I knew I wanted to act. I knew I wanted to be in the entertainment industry, but I didn't know how to do it without being a waitress. I did not want to be a broke ass bitch in California, waiting tables, hoping for my next big break. So finally, my mom, I thought about what she had told me from the very beginning, which was look into nursing school. Why don't you go be a nurse? They make great money. They don't have to work 6 days a week. You can, but you don't have to. They work 3 days a week. I was like, you know what? I've met a nurse here and there. One of them happening to be my sister-in-law. And she loved it. I said, you know what? Me and my husband at the time were in the same boat of not really knowing what we wanted to do, but this is my nursing story, so I'll just stick with my story. Finally, I decided to apply for nursing school, and it was solely for the purpose of a flexible schedule and a stable income. Working 3 days a week. That gives me 4 days for auditions, for gigs, for flying out, doing whatever the hell I wanted. And it was the best thing I ever did. And you know what? I will get a lot of hate for this because every time I bring this up, I have these random trolls that like to say, oh, you shouldn't be a nurse for the money. That's hilarious. Who's going to pay my bills? You shouldn't be a nurse if you're not passionate. Who said I wasn't passionate? Just because I didn't go to nursing school for a person, I guess, for somebody else, I went to school for me. I went to school to take care of my bills and myself and my dreams and my aspirations. And guess what? That makes me a really great fucking nurse because you cannot be a good nurse if you are not taking care of yourself. And looking back, guys, taking care of myself has literally been the best thing I've ever done for myself. Literally. So that all is being said because I don't want you guys to feel bad because you don't have this like passion for nursing. Okay. Taking care of people is the easiest part of being a nurse. The easiest. The best part of being a nurse is taking care of people. That is not a hard thing to do when you're a good person. Okay. So if you're going to nursing school for your own financial reasons, for your own schedule, for all the things, guess what? You're still going to be a fantastic nurse. Now, I do have a story. I think everyone has a story of They were in the hospital. Their friend, their loved one, their parent, somebody they know was in the hospital, and they saw how nurses treated their loved ones. And they were like, you know what, wait, maybe I could do that for someone else. I also have a story like that, and I like to tell that second because that's not the reason I became a nurse, but it did make me the nurse I am today. I was in second grade when I woke up one day, went downstairs to get ready for school, and my Mimi was sitting. My Mimi is my grandma, by the way. Side note, I did not realize that not everyone calls their grandmother a little nickname. That's a Southern thing, apparently. My Mimi is my grandma. Anyway, walked downstairs to get ready for school, and I saw my Mimi sitting in the living room. I was like, what is this? Where's my mom? She said, your mom's at the grocery store. I was like, that's a weird thing. I'm like 8 years old, but I'm like, Mimi, that's hilarious. She never goes to the grocery store this time. Where is my mother? She won't tell me. Finally, my mom calls and I answer the phone. She says, I need to talk to you. Your dad was in a motorcycle accident last night on his way to church. We're at the hospital. Even as an 8-year-old, I knew that was bad. I started bawling. I'll never forget it. For those listening, for those watching, I held the phone up to my ear like this. I remember she said it, and I put it over my heart like I was in utter shock. And I brought it back to my ear, and she said, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I said, yes. Literally, my whole school knew about it because my mom had to call and tell everyone. Everyone was super supportive, but I'll never forget the day I walked in to see him in the ICU, which hence this is probably why children should not be allowed in the ICU. I remember being 8 years old and they didn't want to let my mom bring us in, but I kept asking about my dad. Brought me into the ICU. I saw all these tubes and all these staples and all these things on him. I froze, turned and ran screaming down the hall, bawling because it was the scariest thing I'd ever seen in my life. But after that initial reaction, I got to see and learn from these nurses of how much they cared for my dad and how he is actually alive today because of all of the healthcare workers that took care of him. And so that's my healthcare story of why I can see myself being a good nurse. But that's not like why I went into nursing. I strictly went into it for me, myself, and I think that's okay if you do too. And if you went into it because it's your passion, that's also okay. But you can be a good nurse either way. I was raised in a very religious house. I do think I'm going to get into that, not totally in this episode, but during this podcast, because I think it's really important. And as a 30-year-old woman, looking back on a lot of things, I don't believe in or think the same as I did when I was a little girl. But my religious background doesn't play really any role of why I became a nurse. But I will say, I don't believe in everything I was raised to believe in. However, I do think that there's a higher power, and I do think that we go somewhere after this life. I don't know if you guys know who Hadley is, or Nurse Hadley on TikTok and Instagram, but if you don't, you should go follow her. I absolutely love her page. She's a hospice nurse. She has a book out. She just wrote a book and it's released, and you should go read it. But it is about there's stories about people she took care of and kind of why she believes in an afterlife, and she didn't before. And this is not a religious podcast, but I just think it's interesting, and I love learning from other people of how they think and believe. And her reasoning for believing in an afterlife is kind of my reasoning too. I've seen too many unexplainable things multiple times that just can't be explained. And one of them is how I've had multiple experiences with patients that are passing away that end up seeing someone like their mother. Example, 99-year-old patient is comfort measures about to pass away and is talking to their mother in the room, who is asking them to come with them, to come to the light. And they're telling me this stuff, and I'm like, maybe it's mental. Maybe it's this weird thing our brain does to make ourselves feel better. But I don't know. Between you and me, I kind of think there is an afterlife. It might be called heaven, it might be called something else, but there's just so many things that are unexplainable in my opinion. Let's see. I've got some questions here on my iPad. Was I one of those kids who carried around Band-Aids and loved taking care of my 6 siblings? Absolutely not. Oh my God. I was the clumsiest sibling, I would think. I didn't break any bones. I don't think any of us did, actually, which is strange. I have 3 sisters and I have 2 stepbrothers and a stepsister. And none of us broke bones. That is kind of crazy thinking back. One of my brothers was into rodeo. One was into soccer. I was into sports. My little sister's clumsy as hell. So interesting enough, when none of us broke bones. But I will say I was the oldest in the house. So I kind of have that older child syndrome, even though I'm technically a middle child. But I do think I had like this way of taking care of my siblings, but not in a nurturing way. I'm not gonna lie. Our house was pretty toxic, and you'll come to learn that there was a lot of abuse and neglect in our house. But unfortunately, I wasn't very nurturing. I was more demanding of my siblings. I definitely didn't carry around Band-Aids growing up. I was like, if you cut your knee, that's on you. That's pretty bad, but I was not that kid. Did nothing gross you out as a child and thus prepared you for this line of work? That's a funny thing because I wasn't really grossed out as a kid. No, things didn't really gross me out. I was always afraid of bugs, but like they didn't gross me out. Let me tell you what grosses me out as a nurse, and probably did as a kid, but I don't really remember. Bones. Every nurse has their thing. Some is vomit. You know, I don't like vomit. Don't get me wrong. That's on the bottom of the list. But like, I can handle poop. I can handle blood. I can handle phlegm. I can handle trachs. I can handle anything until it's a bone breaking. Oh, hell no. Or like a body part twisting in this way that it's not supposed to go. Makes me want to. I do not like that. I don't like that at all. I could not be an ortho nurse. I could not be an OR nurse specifically for things like that. Like, if y'all are breaking bones to put them back into place, that literally could never be me. No. Get it out of my face. That makes me want to vom. I don't think I could do that. I was literally just talking to my friend Bonnie the other day about this, and we both are the same. And I have another friend that like, she works in an OR, and she like cracks up when I talk to her about this, because I'm like, that makes me want to pass out. I could not do that. I could not do what you guys do in the OR, specifically with bones or like joints. Ooh, I don't like that at all. So let me explain my path to nursing a little better. I told you about my several different like majors that I went through in college, but even when I decided to apply for nursing school, my husband and I were finally like, okay, we're going to be nurses because we want to be travel nurses eventually. That was always the plan. But when we both applied for nursing school the same day, did all the things, when we got our packets in the mail, I remember I opened the mailbox, I pulled out a big packet, and right under it was a small envelope. And I look at the names. The big packet says Jared Shelton. The little envelope says Lindsay Shelton. Right then and there, I knew I did not get into nursing school. I knew I had failed in my head once again. I failed. I'm not good enough. I had this theme growing up of you will never be blank. You will never be a model. You will never be. It was actually it's kind of sad. It's kind of morbid. But I had this theme growing up. I had no self-respect. I had no self-worth. And so I didn't believe in myself. So when I got that little envelope, you can ask my husband, I lost it, bawled my eyes out. I could not fathom telling my family I didn't get into nursing school. I couldn't believe I didn't get into nursing school. I was a pretty smart kid. I had a good GPA. But that broke me. And I was like, well, damn, I guess I will just be a waitress. I guess I will just do these things I don't want to do to try and pursue modeling, acting, entertainment world. So my husband called me down. He was like, you know what? Let's figure out why you didn't get in. And I had a point system. So a lot of people ask me, how did you study for the entrance exam for nursing school? I didn't, because we did not have an entrance exam. We did a point system. And on the point system, I was missing some classes. I had one class that really dipped my points because I got a D in it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to retake that class. I did all these things to get the points back up over the next year. The next year I applied and I got in. I got the big letter of acceptance. I was so excited. But I tell you guys that because if you fail a semester or if you don't get into nursing school your first or second try, you are not a failure. That doesn't mean that you are not worthy of this life you want, or that you're not smart enough or good enough or whatever. You can do it too. I wish you guys knew me, and some of you did. I wish you guys knew me 5 years ago versus me now, because they're two different Lindsays. I can't believe the Lindsay I once was, because I literally did not believe in myself, and it makes me so sad for that Lindsay, because look at me now, bitch. I'm a motherfucking star girl. Just kidding. But I really do want you guys to know that if you don't get into nursing school the first time, it doesn't mean anything. You should always reapply if that's what you want for your life. Sometimes a rejection letter is actually an acceptance to something else. So like, if you get rejected from whatever, look over your life and start thinking about these things that you want for your life. Is this still the path you want to take to get to the end destination? If so, see what you can do to make yourself better and reapply. That's not a big deal. Okay, what drew you in, and describe morbid fascinations? What drew me into nursing, I already explained, was the flexible schedule and the stable income. But let me tell you, I've always been fascinated by things that people don't really care about. Like Dr. Pimple Popper. Love it. I want to see the juiciest, nastiest zit popped. Actually, I want to be the one popping it. If someone's popping a nasty ass blackhead, it's going to be me. I want to do it, please. I would love to see it, please. That's what I want. So before ASMR came out, coconut, hello. Just kidding. I'm quite embarrassed. One of my secret things about myself is I like ASMR a lot. Like, I fall asleep to it. I like the ones where they're painting my face and they're doing my makeup. Oh my God, I'll fall asleep so fast. But before that, I was super into Dr. Pimple Popper and would watch that to go to sleep. My husband would be on the other side of me and be like, you are disgusting. That is disgusting. How can you sit there and watch that? How can you sit there and watch that? I don't know, but literally it's one of my secret little things. It's not a secret anymore. I flipping love it. I love wounds. I love some nasty ass wounds. Obviously, the only thing I don't like about it is the smell. And, no one can help that. So I just put a little bit of stink balm under my nose, a little bit of alcohol swabs in my nose, and I go to town on that wound. Okay? I like some nasty shit. I don't know. I can't explain it. But I'm really into it. It's kind of embarrassing to say out loud, but it's part of who I am. Let's see. So things that are different from nursing when I first started versus now is my confidence. Oh my God, guys, give yourself a break. If you're a new grad right now and you're like, wow, I am never going to understand this. I am the dumbest person in the room. If you wake up every day and you're anxious to go to work, raise your hand. Okay. That was me. My first year of nursing was the most anxiety-ridden feeling I've ever had in my damn life. I thought I had IBS because every morning when I would come in to take my patient's assessment, I would literally have to stop mid-assessment, run to the bathroom to shit my brains out. I was like, I have IBS all of a sudden. Ulcerative colitis. Is that how you say that? UC? I think I have it. No, it was my anxiety. Luckily, my patients were vented and sedated, and they didn't have to watch me zip out of the room so I didn't shit myself. That was me. Let me tell you, that gets better with time. The more time you give yourself as a nurse, the more time you give yourself to grow as a person, you are going to get better and better and more confident in your skill set. The more confident you get in your skill set, the less anxiety you will have. That goes away with time. It really, really does. Explain my, yeah, this is definitely what I want to do moment, that career affirming moment. I like to view it as the Grey's Anatomy moment. If you guys ever watched Grey's Anatomy, one of the first episodes is when all the residents are like kind of like, stressing and whatnot. And then they get this overhead page of this trauma coming into the ER. And this adrenaline starts pumping into their veins. And they're like, all right, this is it. This is what I came here for. I'm one of those people. I love adrenaline rushes. I love a good trauma. Clearly, let me make this clear. It's not because somebody is struggling. I don't like it for this person. I like it because my body is in its perfect prime where I am ready to learn as much as I can right now. And my body works great on adrenaline. My mind works great under pressure. So I'm so excited during those moments. And one of my very first traumas, that's what happened. They came in. A lot of things were going on. I had to use my nurse brain. I had to use my critical thinking. I had to bing, bang, boom very quickly in order to save this person. And honestly, while that's happening, there's like this thought in the back of my head of, this is why you did this. This is why you chose this path, specifically in nursing. But then also on the other side of it, me and my husband, this is like a completely different story set, but it gives me the same feeling. We paid off $136,000 in 7 months while travel nursing. Now, yes, this was the prime of COVID. This was when rates were astronomical, and there are two of us and there are two incomes. There's a lot that goes into play here, but let me tell you, the adrenaline of paying off your debt is the same adrenaline I get from watching a trauma case come in. Same exact feeling for me. That was motivating enough for me to keep going for all these other things I want to do. We paid off $136,000 of debt in 7 months. What else can I do in the next 7 months? In 1 year, I built my social media platform to where it is today. I started moving away from modeling, to be honest, because I started realizing through therapy and other sources of how toxic it was for me because of my background. But I started putting myself out there in these platforms in different ways, with comedy, with inspiration, with my own stories, and like showing up for you guys, and then you guys showing up for me gives me that like same adrenaline. And so it just goes back to showing that the reason I went into nursing was for a flexible schedule and a stable income to do other things. And it's working out. It's all happening for me. And I'm so excited because it shows me that I can do it, which in return can show you that you can do it. And that sounds so cheesy, but it's so true. I needed somebody at one time to tell me that I could do it. Somebody that was like a freaking stranger. The people I watched online telling me that they did it from their hard background and you can do it too. So this is me telling you, you can do it. I also want to explain maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should not be in nursing. Maybe I should have went a different path. Maybe that dental hygienist thing would have been much better. Pretty much my whole first year of nursing school, or of being a new grad on the unit, I think that was when I constantly thought, maybe I shouldn't have done this. Maybe I'm not going to make it there. Because anytime you're learning something new, and mind you, new grads and nursing school students, if you are in this spot of almost like feeling like you're never going to get out, you will. Like if you feel like you're drowning in freaking mud, you're going to get out. It's going to get better, but it takes time. Anytime you're learning something new, you're going to be overwhelmed, which in return makes you feel dumb. So one of my little quotes I like to tell people is, you're not dumb, you're just overwhelmed. Because I thought for about a year straight, you know what? I should have chose something else. This is too hard. I'm never going to be as smart as these other nurses. I'm never going to have the critical thinking skills they have. How can they think that quick on their feet? That is with time. You don't get to be, it's like looking at someone else's journey that's 50 years ahead of you. You can't compare. You can't compare where you're at right now when they've been doing it for 50 years. So that's kind of what I tell like new grads and nursing students that I get, or people that DM me and like need some encouragement. You have to be able to give it time. If you can't give it time, then it's not going to work. But if you can look at where you're at right now and say a year from now, things will be better. As long as I'm working hard and putting in effort on my end, it will be better. It will. Because that's how I thought my whole first year, is that I definitely chose wrong. But, I didn't. And I'm so glad looking back that I kept going and that I proved to myself that I could be a good nurse and a good person and pursue my dreams. It's all happening. So, you know what? You're probably in the right spot, but you got to give it time. What kept me going for nursing was truly my want for getting out of debt. Me and my husband hated having debt. Can't stand it. It just is this black cloud that follows you everywhere. And all we thought about was how much money we owed somebody. Couldn't stand that. So that was one factor of what kept me going. The second was, I have always, since I was 14 years old, wanted to be in the entertainment industry. For me, that was modeling and acting. It's changed. It's shifted right now to maybe acting in the future, but definitely a platform. I love having a platform. I love being a light for others and giving my story so that people can learn and grow with their own story. I love that. It's literally what keeps me going, because at one point I didn't think I could keep going. This is for a whole nother episode, but I didn't think I could keep going. I thought that my life was not worthy enough to be here. But watching someone online that showed her own journey and told her story is what gave me hope. So that's what keeps me going. What toll has nursing taken on my life? Oh man. Nursing is one of the hardest careers there is. It's also one of the most rewarding careers. With great risk comes great reward. That's nursing. Nursing's hard. It's hard on your feet. It's hard on your freaking soul, your mind, your spirit. It's a hard job because we constantly feel like there's a lack of validation and a lack of resources. I do think that's changing just since I've been a nurse. The way social media has blown up the healthcare industry for nurses specifically and doctors, and like being advocates for ourselves, things are changing, and I know that they're changing. And so that's what helps me keep going. But it's definitely taken a toll. My body hurts almost every day. I'm on my feet for 12 hours. It's a lot. There's a lot happening at work. Seeing people die almost every day is a lot. People wonder where dark humor comes from. It's a way of coping, and that is how I personally cope with hard things that I see every single day at work. But it is also so rewarding. Getting a thank you note from a family member. Thank you for taking care of my loved one because this, and this happened. You made me feel safe. You made them feel safe. That is the most rewarding thing in life. Nursing is so fulfilling. And if it's not fulfilling for you, I would say maybe shift paths, maybe change units, maybe do something different, because I will say the one thing keeping me in nursing is how fulfilled I feel when I come home. Even through all of the tolls, all the struggles it puts me through, it's the most fulfilling career, I would think. If I could go back and change specialties, I get asked this all the time. Would you change specialties? I would not. I love the ICU. You might hear me complain about med-surg because if med-surg was the only option, there's a gnat in my freaking face. If med-surg was the only option in nursing school, I would not be here. I would have ran for the damn hills. I would have been a waitress. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I would have been like, you know what? Peace out. You guys have fun. Those poor nurses do not get enough freaking recognition or validation or money. Let's be honest. Those nurses should be paid the most in the whole damn hospital. I don't know how they do it. And it's because of nurse to patient ratios. They have so many patients. I cannot personally handle it. Would I pick another specialty? No. I love ICU. I learn something new in ICU every single time I work. It is such a hard unit, but fulfilling in the sense of my mind is constantly turning. My wheels are turning. I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly having to be on my toes, paying attention, looking things up, asking questions. It is my favorite unit ever. I say ever. It's one of the only ones I've ever worked on, but right now I'm really happy with ICU. So, I don't know. I don't know if I could do another unit, to be honest. But I do want to say that if you are out there, and let's just like bring it back around to why I even started this episode. If you're out there feeling like you have to be the most passionate person in the world to be a good nurse, you are so wrong. Nursing is my plan B. Ah! Oh no. Sorry. My dog Murphy just decided to yeet out of the couch, and my little skeleton friend came with him. So if I could put into one simple sentence why I became a nurse, it would be to fulfill my other dreams and passions in life. And does that make me a bad nurse? No, it doesn't. Okay. I get requested on the freaking daily. Not really. But I get requested from families to come back. I get notes. I get thank yous. I get people trying to freaking give me money. Okay. I'm a good nurse. Is it my passion? No. Does it fulfill me? Yes. Is it my plan B? Yes. Will I always be a nurse? No, I'm leaving bedside. Just kidding. For now. I love nursing for now, but I'm probably leaving bedside at some point in my future. And that's okay. But even if I don't, that's okay too, I guess. I'm definitely one of those people. I don't really have a full life plan ahead of me, but I am just taking it one day at a time. So I hope you guys like this episode. Pretty sporadic. I feel like I just gave a really rambled report at shift change, but it is what it is. Thanks for coming, guys. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys like the pod. If you guys have anything you want to hear about, if you have any haunted hospital stories, send them in. I want to read about haunted hospitals. I want to go to a haunted hospital, actually. But please send me in your listener stories, whether it be haunted hospitals, crazy interactions with coworkers or patients, just something fun you learned. Please send in your stories. I will leave the email in the description. And thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye. What do you have to say about that? Oh, is that so?